Welcome, everybody. Don Giannatti, Lighting Essentials. One of the continuing subjects here at Lighting Essentials is, of course, the interviews. And we're interviewing photographers who are out there working hard in the small and medium-sized towns. They may not be famous. That's okay. Fame isn't a big deal. What's important is these are working photographers. Today we have Neville Palmer with us from Calgary, the Calgary area. I think he's a little south of Calgary. And he's a commercial photographer up there. And Neville, how are you?
Hi, good morning, Don. I'm very well. How are you doing?
Very good. Very good. Well, tell
Excellent.
us a little bit about how you got into photography and how you ended up in Calgary.
Okay, so I'd always enjoyed taking photographs as a kid, along with, I guess, pretty much everybody, well, certainly everybody now. And back then, I guess I started with a one of these 126 format drop-in cartridge things, like a Kodak Instamatic or something, and snapped some stuff and really enjoyed it. And my dad was a somewhat lax hobbyist, and he had a Braun pack set, a 35mm rangefinder, and I enjoyed borrowing that from him when I was allowed. Then we got to the point where I got an SLR, and I continued. That was an old practical, and I continued kind of working. And then I got distracted, I guess, and I spent some time in the British military. I spent 10 years in the British military, and I was on the verge of leaving, and my interest had picked back up again. And I was stationed at an enormous explosives depot in Britain. And one of the requirements of this depot having a license to store explosives was to have the entire site overflown by helicopter and photographed for infringements on the safety regulations.
Mm-hmm.
So the camp photographer, the official army photographer had been booked, and the helicopter was there, etc., etc. But there was some kind of a royal thing going on, and he wasn't able to shoot it. But the helicopter was there, and I had some medium format gear with me on camp and a 35mm. And so I said, "Oh, I'll do it. I'm pretty sure I can do it." So my first kind of professional job was overflying an explosives area in a chopper with the doors off, kind of taking shots for that, and it worked out okay.
Sort of a live security cam.
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah. But that was pretty exhilarating, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is what my life is going to be like when I get out. This is what I'm going to do. So I was a part-time professional when I left, and then I met my beautiful wife on Millennium Eve, and she came to live with me in Britain, and then we decided we wanted to start a family. And we didn't want to do it in the southeast of England where we were. We wanted to take our foot off the gas a little bit. And so we relocated to Canada. She's a Canadian. And we're here in beautiful High River, just about 30 minutes south of Calgary.
I think one of my daughter's
That's
favorite TV shows
potted
is
history.
photographed in High River.
Oh, Heartland?
Heartland, yeah.
Yeah, they shoot a lot of movies here. A couple of Clint Eastwood ones, Unforgiven, the assassination of Jesse James, that was close to here. There's several movie ranches around here that I've had an opportunity to shoot at, which is pretty neat to see. Yeah, there's often film crews here in town, and in fact, I think there's one here now. There's a crew being shot, one called Tin Star, Heartland, obviously.
That's excellent. How that's a beautiful area. Was it Rolling
It really
Hills?
is.
Is it
It really
Rolling
is.
Hills?
The rolling hills are probably about 30 minutes away, kind of the foothills of the Rockies, and then the further west you go, then you start getting into the big stuff. So right here, it's actually pretty flat, but about 30 minutes to the west, beautiful sunsets heading out that way. Beautiful scenery. It's kind of rugged.
Any wildfire activity there? You getting hit?
Not here right at the moment, although as of yesterday, there's a complete outdoor fire ban everywhere in the province. BC is still, half of BC is burning.
Yeah.
Next door to us. So there's very real kind of issues here, but I guess there are everywhere, right? So,
Yeah, let's hope the
but
summer rain.
yes, it's a beautiful place to live.
That's great. So tell me about your clientele there. Uh, I imagine you have to be kind of a generalist. Am I right?
Yes, you do. Yes, very much so. So when I got here in 2005, the market wasn't then what it is now. Obviously, we've seen the huge changes in the industry, and we're all kind of having to adapt to that. So I'm moving more away from kind of people type stuff, which I was doing quite a lot of, and I'm trying now to focus more on product.
Is there a growing product uh, client base there? Is that what's happening, or is it the people client base just oversaturated?
I personally have a perception that it's somewhat oversaturated, but yeah, people may disagree with that. Since beginning your Project 52 series, I've found that I've really developed a love for shooting product. I just love it. I love trying to get into that kind of calm state of mind, where you're not rushing and you have a chance to solve all the problems as they come up. But I still love shooting people. I was shooting quite a lot of editorial. I was a regular shooter for a regional magazine. I shot all their covers over 5 years, all but one of the editorial stories. And I love that. Unfortunately, the magazine folded. We had a major flood here, and the magazine went the way that many kind of magazines seem to be at the moment. So it's a question of trying to stay light-footed, you know.
Yes. And how wide is your range? Are you mostly in Calgary, or are you reaching out to Vancouver and other
Uh,
places in Canada?
I've shot in BC, Saskatchewan, up into the north of the province. Vancouver's pretty well taken care of with photographers. There's a lot there. There's a lot of very good people there.
Mm-hmm. Got any?
If somebody wanted to, obviously I'd have no qualms in heading anywhere really.
Well, excellent. I know Canada it's a long ways between cities up there.
It really is.
It's
Yes.
not quite like America, where if you live in Cincinnati, you're within 70% of all the population in within 6 hours.
Wow. Well,
Unbelievable numbers.
here, here people will drive 3 hours to eat at a famous restaurant or the favorite restaurant. Yeah, there's long distances. It's a big place. Wow.
Excellent.
Coming from Britain, just this tiny island, and you could literally pick the British Isles up and plonk them into Algonquin Park in Ontario, and it wouldn't even touch the sides.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a huge difference of scale.
That's got to be very fascinating for you.
It is very fascinating, and it's cowboy country here, so you can literally go to some of the small towns and you'll see your horses tethered up outside shops. Now and again, a picture will come up in your Instagram feed or whatever with somebody literally riding a horse through a Tim Hortons drive-through. You know,
Wow.
it's it's fun and interesting and yeah, fascinating.
It's a you have children?
Yes, we do. Yes, yeah. I've got two girls, Hannah, who's 5, and Grace, who's 10.
Oh,
Which is the reason we're here. We came here to start a family, and that is beautiful and just thriving here.
that's great. It's just great to have you here. And on this side of the pond, as they say.
You're very kind, thank you.
Well, how did you get your business going in Calgary? I mean, lots of towns are very provincial, and outsiders sometimes, run into blocks. Did you run into any blocks like that? If you did, how did you get around them?
Well, yes, actually, when I moved to my town here, I went to every business that was in town and introduced myself and shook people's hands and said, "This is what I do, and I'll be happy to help out with anything that I can." Um, and 11 years on, I'm I'm still doing the same.
Good. That's
Obviously, my familiarity with some of the aspects of marketing here have improved a little, and I'm continually trying to kind of refine that.
that's cool. That's cool. Well, we want to tell us about some of these shots that we're looking at, like these. Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
For sure. So I've always had this self-image that I'm an athlete. I've always enjoyed being active, and I stay very active now. And these are some people that I've had the opportunity to shoot with. So the guy that we're looking at here is a guy called Keto Allen, and a guy was coming up from the States, a manufacturer of some photographic lighting accessories, and we arranged to do a shoot together. So I reached out to a local cage fighting club and said, we'd like to come and just take some shots and have some fun and hang out with you guys, and it'll be awesome. And they said, yeah, fantastic. So Keto was there, and I figured that, with his help and guidance, I figured out that if I wanted them to play in my sandbox, then I should play in theirs. So I and Scott shot these guys, had a lot of fun, and then I won a couple of rounds in the ring with Keto, just to kind of prove goodwill on both sides. And it was a lot of fun, and he didn't break my spine, for which I'm very grateful.
That's wonderful. Now, where did you do these?
So these were this is a different guy. This is a guy called Jonathan Brochu. He's a Cirque du Soleil performer. So through my love of training and athleticism and martial arts, I just kind of came into contact with some of these people. And Jonathan's a regular performer with Cirque du Soleil and other performance shows, an extraordinary athlete. And these were shot, so all of these were shot on location, and this was shot at a buddy's gym in Calgary. Very, very little post done, just enough space behind and sufficient contrast to kind of bring this kind of, as a style, I really like kind of bringing light out of dark.
You have a minimalist approach to things too. Lots of
I do. I do.
Just take the image down to the bare essentials, and then let the image speak for itself. I really like the way his face is turned up enough, just that we get just a little detail that makes it a face.
It's kind of handy having some physical knowledge, because I'm able to kind of see lines and know when people can hold it, when people can express a little more or whatever. And I find these shoots highly enjoyable.
Excellent. What about this gentleman?
He's a local guy, very fit. He's a serving peace officer and a member of a federal rescue organization. So they'll go into disaster areas and set up a management structure, and then start working through their procedures. Super guy.
Nice. Let's talk gear, because people do like to know what kind of gear other photographers are
Sure.
using. So what are you going out on location with?
I shoot Nikon. I've been through a whole range of different things, but currently I shoot Nikon. Um, I enjoy using Nikon cameras because I feel I can hold them all day without getting tired. It's just a question of ergonomics for me. So on a shoot like this, I'll go out with a few lenses, wide-angle telephoto. I will take a lighting kit with me. So on something like this, I'll take a couple of articulated booms and chrome lights with triggers and tethering kit. And I'm actually finding more and more, I'm taking a little like a Fuji rangefinder,
Mhm.
X100T. The quality is fantastic, and I just love shooting with it. It doesn't get in the way. It doesn't form a barrier between me and my subject. So I love using that, and pretty often I'll take a range of small flash equipment too, for little highlights or whatever, and then just a bunch of modifiers according to what it is that I think I'm going to want to be producing. So gridded beauty dishes and gridded soft boxes and that kind of stuff.
Are you speed lights, or do you have studio lights, or what are you working with mostly?
Uh, both. Um, so with the picture that we're looking at, this was exclusively studio lights. But then if I want to include more of the environment, then quite often I'll use the studio lights to light the subject, and then accent using speed lights. So pop them in for little areas because they're easy to hide in the picture, right? So um, yeah, for more kind of shaping of the environment, if that's what's required.
Sure.
Less so for this minimalist approach, but definitely more so for editorial work.
Do you have a studio, Neville, or are you mostly location?
Mostly location. I work out of my home. I've got a beautiful area here. I've got 11-foot ceilings,
Uh-huh.
and a pretty decent kind of wide open space for kind of headshots and product mainly.
Very nice. Tell us about your ballerina here.
I was asked to photograph the rehearsals and performance of a local ballet school doing the Nutcracker. So this particular shot, it's absolutely one of my favorites because for me it tells a whole story. So this beautiful young lady here was with a Calgary company maintaining her dancing, but taking a little downtime because she had quite a bad injury sustained. She was a regular member of the Royal Winnipeg Ballet,
Hmm.
which is a world famous kind of a thing. And you can see on her right leg there, the one that's turned out, all the strapping there to support the injury. Um, so I like this particular one because there's a real triangle going from the ballerina to the person in the background, and the person in the background is looking at the person on the right hand edge of the frame who's evaluating the performance. And this is just as that dying note is just kind of ending, and she's just hit this pose as um, her finishing kind of gesture, and everybody's just about to kind of breathe out and then hear what the lady on the right hand side has to say. But for me, there's a real kind of moment of tension, and personally, this is one of my favorite
She
shots that
is
I've done.
she is a beautiful dancer. I know enough about dance. I mean, I'm looking at the extended arm. She's just reaching right through herself there, and the point on her left leg, reaching out, beautiful arch, great hands. She's a definitely a skilled ballerina.
So beautiful, so balanced. Um, yeah. I love shooting people that love what they do, and with dancers and athletes and artists and things, it's a guaranteed, um, just beautiful. Um, yeah.
Great, great. Um, Oh, we didn't. Let's go over and look at music. And how do you get most of your clients? Is it word of mouth? Are you doing direct mail or?
Word of mouth, or people come to me via my website.
Got it.
So people see stuff and they say, hey, you know, we need some shots, and can you do it? Yeah. So the marketing is one of the things that I'm really trying to give some forward momentum to. It's not something that I particularly enjoy, but it's one of those necessaries. It's like Chase Jarvis says, it's the other 50%, right? So we're looking at the 50% that I love. I've just got to learn to love the other 50%.
Yes, I think we all do. It's ever constant thing with photography these days, is getting out there
Yeah.
and marketing. So you've done a couple album covers, right?
Yes, I have. Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Tell us a little bit about your music work here.
So Melvin, so this is a guy called Corblund, who here in Canada is pretty well known, and this was for a magazine feature, and it was quite funny. I think this was the third or fourth time that this particular shoot had been scheduled, and so we met at a place called Longview, which is where Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood was filmed. It's about 20 minutes from here, and there's a really old hotel, and we met there. It was going to be a good location, and it was about the third time that this had been scheduled. He was going through some personal difficulties and found it difficult to meet our kind of schedule, or we couldn't fix a time anyway. So this was taken in the saloon bar, just a window lit portrait with a 50 mil, just trying to kind of set him at ease. He turned up kind of frazzed, and this was the cover of a 5-year best of for the magazine that I was shooting for Roots. So this turned out to be the cover of that. He's a super nice guy, super nice guy.
Cool.
This was a couple of musicians out of Calgary. They wanted a particular look that was quite similar to like a Fight Club kind of a look. So lots of backlit stuff, heavy shadow drama, color grading, which was this particular one.
Cool. Very cool. There's our singer again.
Yeah, that's George Canyon. He's a country music artist here in Canada. And this was shot on the Little Fuji. Actually, we did a whole bunch. We did an album cover and a whole bunch of supporting material, and it was done very quickly on the fly, walking around just with available light. Apart from the cover shot where I used one light with him on a motorcycle. But yeah, this was huge fun. I've known George for a long time, and he's been a client for quite a long time. And in fact, I've got a shoot this evening with him. He's got an old Warbird plane that he needs to be shot with. So it's I guess a prop plane with a brushed aluminium body and a big Tiger Shark grin, painted on the nose cone. So we're gonna go out and do a shoot this evening, which I'm really looking forward to.
Great. Is this the Fuji as well?
No. This was a Nikon available light just in the house where he writes his music. Is a guy called Steve Coffey, who's a musician and an extremely accomplished painter here. And this was editorial work I did. Super nice guy. A real fan of drummers, which I am too. So we had stats to talk about. I heard in a podcast you did a couple of days ago, you referencing Billy Cobham. I was like, oh yeah, I know Billy Cobham. He was the first guy to play with a double bass drum, right?
First guy to really play it in fusion. and rock, but like Louis Bellson had double bass drums way back in the day,
Oh, did he? Okay.
in the
Okay.
40s.
Oh,
A
wow.
lot of guys
Okay.
did. Now, did
Yeah.
they play them? I don't know. I mean, you've heard Buddy Rich's bass drum work, and that's all one drum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's just one
They're,
drum.
they're, yeah. They're talking, but are they really saying anything? But drummers, we spoke at length, certainly on. Well, I spoke. I think I bored him about the drummers I like. Actually, that's the truth of it.
Ah,
But
cool.
super nice guy, and just available like this George on stage with his band. Yeah,
Oh, great
I
lighting.
like I like shooting live stuff. You know, I like trying to suppress my urge to kind of dance and actually try to get down to it and not get lost in the fun of it all, which can be hard sometimes, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
love
I mean,
music, so yeah.
you're you're there where all the action is. I mean, what the
Oh
heck?
yeah, yeah, really.
So tell me what you do for your personal work. Do you get out? We went through the personal portfolio. I'm going to go through it again in a minute here. But do you get out and shoot on your own for uh, personal enjoyment or projects?
Yes, I do. Very much so. Very much so. And in fact, my work stagnated when I dropped off from doing that. And as soon as I picked that back up again, everything started to kind of flow again. Um, so yeah, I was fascinated when I got here by the whole kind of cowboy thing and the whole rodeo thing. So I've been shooting small town rodeo, amateur rodeo for the last 11 years, I guess. Um, quite a lot. I've not done anything really with the pictures. I've entered into a couple of competitions, um, but not really done anything with it. It's kind of been my thing to enjoy. Um, what it did for me initially, while I was picking up the whole digital workflow, which began for me in like 2005, 2006, was to find different ways of working with the material that I came back with in order to try and direct the attention where I wanted it, because it could be quite hectic in a rodeo situation, maybe bleachers behind or
Hmm.
various intrusions. And so I would I would spend all my spare time trying to find ways to direct attention using contrast, micro contrast, color, composition, whatever, in order to try and initially I started just to try and erase stuff, and I thought, wow, that's just heavy-handed. That's just going diametrically in opposition to what is actually there. Why not work with what's there? And so that really, that these particular pictures and that work really helped me to establish some kind of a digital workflow. So
Oh,
from that perspective, it's very good, and I love the excitement. So my rodeo shots aren't cropped. It's all in camera, and I love trying to read the animals, where they're going to turn, what's going to happen, where the peak of the action is going to be, the height of the tension.
rodeo season's up there. I mean, rodeo season's usually the fall, right? After they bring the
Well, we've actually just finished the Calgary Stampede here. We finished it last week, which is the greatest outdoor show on earth. There's I think there's $1.5 million in rodeo prize money. It's 10 days. The whole city goes cowboy. Quite literally, all the office workers, everybody's wearing the boots and the hats, and
oh,
um,
cool.
it's a huge deal. If you've never been to the Calgary Stampede, it's quite an experience.
Is it the whole area, or is it just up in Calgary itself?
Well, it's the whole area, and competitors from all over North America, where they have a cowboying tradition. So from Texas and various other places, it's pretty much a big one on the circuit. But in terms of shooting, it's the small ones that I like, because you can literally get crap all over you. You know, you're that close to it.
Yeah, that's yeah. The
Um,
big there's a big rodeo here in Phoenix, but it's done inside, which sort of just takes all Ruins it, I think. And then there's big walls and you can't get up close, but you go up to little towns north of us, Payson and Prescott, and yeah, you can have dirt thrown in your face, and you can get down pretty close. And if you can talk to of course, talking to the people who put it on, you might be able to get a pass and really get up on the rails. It's always fun, but something I've
Oh,
always
totally.
been intrigued
Totally.
with is the rodeo. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fabulous. Yeah. Yeah. Good fun. Um, yeah, and I like I like going out and just shooting for the sake of making nice kind of compositions, you know. And what we're looking at now here is a typical example of one of those.
Yeah, what is that?
Well, this is a building in Calgary. The perspective is kind of strange, and it there's two kind of apertures down at the bottom left. There's an entrance and an exit, but it looks like you can't access them. And I don't know. It looks like kind of to me like kind of a wall, and it's overlooked by these kind of stark, kind of monolithic buildings behind, and this entrance and exit in the front, and then this tree seeming to struggle for a bit of life on this side of the wall. I don't know. I'm always just kind of looking for kind of stories and kind of elements that I can put together to kind of maybe make a little story, if only in my own mind.
Well, sometimes that's the great tradition of art photography, right there. Make the stories in your mind.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
What intrigues you most about photography?
Um, it's it's really the essence of something. Are you familiar with Aldous Huxley, the author? Wrote Brave
Uh-huh.
New World and a bunch of other stuff. So he wrote one called the Doors of Perception, Heaven and Hell, the Doors of Perception, where he spoke about a psychedelic experience, and he spent some time just regarding this chair. And something that came out of it that he wrote at great length and very eloquently about was the absolute chairness of this chair. It, 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 it couldn't be anything else. Its entire purpose was just to be this chair. And I guess that's what I'm always kind of looking for. I'm always trying to portray. So if I'm shooting somebody, I hate to shoot people smiling if they weren't smiling already, you know, because it
Mhm.
isn't that people hide behind a smile. I think. So I'm always trying to kind of see what actually is that. What is it? What is its essence? What is it at the root of it? And that's what really drives me, I guess, so that I can have a better understanding. Um, and I guess it also ties in a little bit with um, my interest in kind of martial arts and that Zen kind of aspect, you know, where you regard something and it regards you back, you know.
Interesting. I love this shot, by the way.
Well,
It has
thank you.
it real has a real Stephen Shore feel to me.
A tiny town called Blackie, not far from here. Very small, very small population, but with a huge agricultural presence. So what we have behind is a huge grain storage facility, probably run by Monsanto. There's a seed cleaning plant here too, but very few people. And like a lot of towns in this particular area, I guess it's a week-to-week struggle to survive in a lot of ways. Um,
Oh,
and
true.
it amazes me sometimes how these towns do, how they keep going, you know. But they do. They
They
do,
do.
and it's awesome. And you know, sometimes in a little bit of a fragile state, as you can see here from the walls that we're looking at. Um,
We were
but
in a
such character, you know.
we were in a little town up in northern Nevada, well, maybe central North Nevada, and just a little town. And it probably had 3 streets that went off the main street, and they didn't go very far, and half the buildings were boarded up, but there was a restaurant and a post office and a rail presence, and yeah, lots of uh, places for agriculture because it's the farming is all around it, right?
For
Uh,
sure.
and I was talking to the guy in the diner about the town, the population, and he said just young people don't want to live here. He said, but on Friday and Saturday nights, you can't find a place to park because everybody comes in from the ranches. And you can look out into the hills, you don't see a thing. And
Yeah,
there are hundreds of ranches out there, small ranches, big ones, and with workers and everything. And everybody
yeah,
converges on the town, but no, there's no work in the town, so they all live out in the boondocks. So there wasn't even enough
yes,
people coming in to town to buy groceries for the little grocer to stay in business. So now
yeah,
they have to drive, like I think Elko or one of those bigger towns to get groceries. But the little
sure.
town's still there. It's still. And
That. Sorry.
my view is that it probably will come back. Um,
I hope so.
I think there's going to be a number of baby boomers who look at places like this and say, you know, I don't really need to have a business. I've got my retirement or whatever, and move to these little small places. And I've seen it in Utah, the little dying towns, and you go in there now, and most of the buildings have tenants in them. They're selling paintings or tchotchke or little ice cream shops and whatever.
Hmm.
Entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
So I can see. I mean, this is just a beautiful mural. And I just love It looks like a foggy day.
Yes, it was foggy and it was like minus 25, minus 30 maybe. Um, so yeah, deep into the winter. Not much snow on the ground. I think it had been gone. We get Chinooks here, so snow can come and
Minus
yeah,
30
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Celsius or
it was
Fahrenheit?
about that. It, it doesn't matter.
No, I was gonna say at that point it really wouldn't matter, would it? It's just really damn cold.
Oh man, it's cold. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah. It just makes your tears freeze instantly. It's yeah. It was very very cold. But I like going out on days like that to shoot personal stuff because there's very very few people about.
I
And
love bad weather.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I live in a town, Neville, that blue skies are the norm here.
Hmm.
I mean, it really is something like 250 blue sky days a year. I mean, that's,
Well,
just what we have. And then I go up to somewhere like southern Utah or Colorado, and they're going, "Oh, it's such a beautiful day. It's blue skies." And I'm like, "No, I don't want that. I want clouds like this. I want, drama in the skies." Um,
I
this is
want plague. I want pestilence.
Well, we can leave out the flying bug part, but the rest of it, yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, and when there's lots of snow on the ground, then I find that compositions offer themselves up, because there's only going to be a few things that are kind of poking out of that. It kind of sits well with my minimalist
Yep,
kind of outlook,
yep. Figure
So
ground,
I love days like that. Yeah,
figure ground. The
yeah,
white becomes a palette for anything sitting on it.
yeah, yeah. So this particular picture, I had shot a number of times as a circus performer, and I started seeing on his daily feed every week something he called a Transformation Tuesday, where he'd be in drag. So I called him up. I'm like, oh, geez, this is unreal. You have to let me come and shoot you, take some pictures. And this was completely outside of my comfort zone, and it was one of the best things I've done uh, because it was so far outside my comfort zone. So I shot him and a bunch of his girlfriends. They're all performing drag queens, and circus artists, makeup artists, the film industry, and I just came back with some fantastic shots, and just had the most enjoyable time. It was fun. It was fun.
Excellent.
So it's that whole stepping outside of the norm, you know.
Finding something.
I love doing that.
Finding something different. This you were up close and personal with this guy.
Quite close and quite personal. Yeah. This is only a little dilly one though. This is just a little steer, maybe 500 or 600 pounds. So just a wee fella really, compared to the big 2,000 pounders that kind of throw people around.
Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff, Neville. It's always great to hear about, people doing things, photographers doing things. We hear so much negativity in the press. And then every time I turn around, I find a photographer who's working, having a good life, making it work out. And being a generalist is a little tough, but sometimes in a small town, you have to do it. Do you do any consumer work by any chance?
Any what? Sorry.
Consumer work, like portraits, family portraits, that type of thing.
Very little, very little. When I was working in the UK, I shot quite a lot of weddings. That was how I started. I'd be shooting weddings every weekend. Now I'll shoot maybe 2 weddings a year if people ask me. It's not something that I kind of actively go out and look for. I will shoot family stuff if they're looking for something other than you're peeking out from either side of a tree or So if people are interested in having the type of portrait work that I enjoy doing, then I'll happily shoot them. If not, then there's lots of people that are very well placed to kind of take care of that for them.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for giving us some time today.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about what I love to do, and thank you for your ongoing support, Don. It's myself, and I know a lot of people look to you for guidance, and your input is always greatly appreciated.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. Neville, thank you, and have fun up there in Calgary.
Awesome. Thanks, Don. Enjoy your day.